Hello and welcome to the Medical Affairs Dialogues. We are very thrilled to explore the intersection of technology and medical affairs. In an era where healthcare is rapidly evolving through digital innovation, technology is transforming the way we are conducting our clinical trials, the way we are actually designing our clinical trials, the way we are engaging with our stakeholders, and also shaping patient care. To talk about this and more in this episode, our guest for today is Dr. Lester Cruz Serrano. We have known each other for some time now. And Lester, I'm so glad that you are part of this episode.
Thank you, Bradati, and it's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. Honored to be in this episode, and I look forward to a very meaningful and impactful conversation for us and for our audience as well.
Thank you. So let me first introduce you to my audience. Lester is a global head of medical affairs at Cognizant, leads medical strategy across healthcare, life sciences, and medical devices within Cognizant's Health Sciences division. He has been pivotal in advancing Cognizant's shared investigator platform, also known as SIP, collaborating with global pharmaceutical companies and fostering KOL relationships to promote SIP adoption in over 100 countries. Without any further delay, we want to start this episode. Our topic for today is innovating at the intersection of technology and medical affairs, insights on evolution, partnerships, and the future of healthcare. It has become, Lester, a kind of a tradition in our podcast that at this time of the session, we always pause and ask our guest to share their career journey. So, my question to you is, our viewers and our audience are really excited to know, how did you create this remarkable career journey of yours? Could you tell us more about the transition into the tech industry and what motivated you to take this step?
Thank you. Great question, and I think I'll start, by saying, like probably most of us within our industry, I had a vision of becoming a physician. It was always my passion, and whatever I did in life is always towards achieving that goal. So, went into medical school, completed my MD, and then after that, I started my residency, and then did some internship within family medicine. So I'm an MD by background and in family medicine by training. And then I did, normal clinical setting, did a lot of rotations, a lot of time in the hospital, in the clinical setting with patients. But I discovered a passion for research. So I was really interested into the research landscape and understanding all the different aspects of that. So that drove me into the research setting. And thank you to a lot of mentors that I have, too many to mention here today, but they kind of formed me into the research space. So after doing research for quite some time, I then came across this opportunity that we have today. But before that, my career has been, again, I've also have some experience in the CRO space with Celerium, where I did some translational medicine. I've also worked with CHI Health, where I help, with the Department of Hematology and Oncology for studies for NIH and the Cooperative Group for Pharmaceutical Trials. And then I also did a lot of research within CNS, endocrinology, metabolic space, and also cardiovascular at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. So then coming here to this journey that I have now within the technology space over the last 6 or 7 years, it was very interesting with me at the time because I was presented with an opportunity, I think once of a lifetime opportunity, because for the first time in many, many years, 20 of these pharma companies have come together through a consortium to bring the first and only up to this today, the only first SaaS open industry platform that you mentioned in the introduction called the Share Investigator Platform. And this was a Transcelerate initiative. And those of you that are not familiar with Transcelerate, this is a great organization. It's a non-for-profit organization that works around innovation and bringing ideas to improve different processes of the life sciences industry. So 20 of these pharma companies came together and starting creating a vision of reusability, and instead of one on ask for the same information, how can we share this data across multiple sponsors and using the same platform? So that was the vision. And then Cognizant, the company that I work for today, had won the RFP. So we were in charge of building that vision and converting that into reality. So I came very early in the stages. They were looking for a medical advisor at the time. I thought this is again something very different to what I've been accustomed to doing, but having that vision of technology and how technology was going to play a role, I think I took on that bet, and it was probably the best thing that I did because I went into a whole different space where I was not comfortable. I've always been a physician of more of paper and pen, and now I'm diving into this technology world. And at the beginning, it was a very slow transition. And not only did I had to learn their terminology, but I also had to learn about their vision and how other vendors played into the ecosystem. So to summarize, it was a very slow learning curve, but I think that looking back hindsight today was the best thing that I did again 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, what an amazing journey. And like I said in the beginning, it's a remarkable journey. And I think I mentioned this earlier to you as well when we met earlier in October. Um, you are one of the pioneers of doing this transition. And I'm so glad that today on this platform, we are able to talk about this, how you transitioned. And I cannot wait to talk about the more deeper questions in the discussion. So let's dive in. My first question in this aspect is, how are you shaping the evolution of the global medical affairs team within a technology company? Could you share some of the best practices and key channels of engagement here?
Thank you. Great question. And I think for me has been lessons on the field. Like I mentioned from the start, this was not an easy undertake. We were talking about again a global platform. This global platform today has close to 350,000 end users across 100 countries, and it has over 60,000 institutions worldwide. So I guess with that, what I want to say is that again, I've learned from lessons on the field. A lot of things that didn't go right at the beginning, we were able to kind of do a deeper dive and understand, what was happening and what could we have done better in order to change or pivot from different areas. So when I speak, I speak with a lot of humbleness because again, there was a lot of tough lessons that were taught to us very early, but I think we were able to figure things out. We had a great team in place. We continue to work on this every single day. And with this being, again, I want to reemphasize a global platform, you have to really understand the different regions, different compliance, and different ethics and committees within those particular regions in order to make sure that you're implementing the right strategies moving forward. So, right off the bat, I think one of the best lessons that I had is how was I going to work with my own internal team. Back in the hospitals, those used to be our nurses and our regulatory people and coordinators and all that. But now I'm talking with engineers and I'm talking with product development team and marketing and legal. So adapting to that new role or that new team members around you is something that is very important because everyone needs to work together. And I believe the role of medical affairs within this space is to be that orchestrator or to be that voice within that is bringing all the necessary teams or all the necessary players in order for us to make the right decisions and hopefully build the right technology that is going to be impactful and meaningful to our end users. So Not to mention at the beginning, a lot of these words were like Greek to me when they talk about an API or they talked about interoperability or systems talking to each other. But I believe that in the core principle as a medical affairs specialist, I believe that the same core principles of developing insights, the scientific communication and education to our ACP or end users, gathering the data or the real world data from the users, engaging with these KOLs or thoughtful leaders, and disseminating that information and also the publication in principle was the same. It doesn't matter if it was an IP or if it was a technology product in this case. So I think that making that parallel or that similarity among both of those spaces is what helped me organize our team, making sure that we are, we had a strategy moving forward and making sure that we were being impactful and meaningful with our actions and our work. And that's how I think we approached this. We went out to the real world end users. We sat down to them in a peer-to-peer conversation. And because I believe we understood where, their challenges were or their day-to-day activities kind of happen, we were able very quickly to relate and to understand when they spoke about this is what I like or this is what I don't like and this is what I would like to see. And then building then capabilities around that feedback, I think it was very helpful. In my case, I needed to build a whole medical affairs, we call it a med tech team within a technology company. And that was changing our DNA, meaning that they were very commercial driven, revenue driven. Now I'm coming into this company and giving a different perspective about how do we really have a deeper conversation with our users, with the ACPs, and how do we really understand? We know they're very busy persons. We know they have less resources. So we want to make sure that when we incorporate the technology, it's not creating an additional burden. If not, it's streamlining and simplifying their day-to-day activities. So that required a lot of meetings throughout the last 6 years. We've made tremendous relationship with a lot of the top hospitals nationally and across the world. And we have some very meaningful conversation about the technology and making sure, again, that this technology serves both purposes, not only the pharmaceutical needs, but also the institutions and the sites who are using this technology on a day-to-day basis. So by creating strategic partnerships with networks and organization across the globe and giving them a seat at the table for them to voice their concerns or their challenges, we were able to make a tremendous progress. More important, gain their trust and understanding that we were doing this with a purpose in mind and that we want to be impactful. Second, I believe collaborating with in events or presentations like the one that you and I were part of, where we are sharing best practices, lessons learned, and just trying to guide industry on from our perspective and what we're seeing in order to make sure that we're not replicating the same actions on another space when something's already built or is already there. So let's try to reuse what we have and start everyone creating their own little tools and ideas. And then also having workshops where we kind of drill down on the use cases that we are putting forward in order to make sure that we are having the best use cases available or possible for industry. And then communicating that through webinars or publications or presentations, which I believe is very important. And then lastly, I'll say one of the things that I did is I created some end user groups or focus group. We had two of them. One was a focus, which was dedicated with an organization called the SCRS, the Society for Clinical Research, and they brought a strong mix of users, all the way from the investigators to the regulatory people to administrator to CEO, so that we saw different perspective and different angles on some of the needs or the requests from the end users. And at the same time, I did the same thing with a more focused or regional approach, which is more voluntary. People that want to be in the front end of the cutting edge technology, they want to also express some of their ideas or just express their challenges. So by opening these channels of engagement, I believe that we were able to connect better with the end users and really bring all that insights in house, and then in a cross-functional structure, we were able to share that with the engineers, with the product team, with the leadership team, marketing team, so that everyone was having a good understanding about what the end users were saying about our products, and then not just try to build stuff in house and then send it over to the end user and expect a high adoption or implementation of these tools. So, looking back, when you asked me that question, I think that those were some of the things that I believe we were able to pivot or to very quickly incorporate in order to have uh, uh, a better adoption or implementation of our tools, but more important, making sure that when we were having a release or a new capability, it had already been validated by one of these user groups, and making sure that once we released something, we felt more confident that it was really going to address the needs or the unmet needs that were really in the market at that time.
Yeah, beautiful put. I love that there was so many pieces that you had to move around, and it was different culture, different environment, but you were able to bring in your knowledge from the previous career, for previous experiences, and plug in into a new environment. And then you were able to do these right steps, which was like, changing the culture, understanding the people, the unmet needs, and the end user, which is the customer, and bringing back all those, all those feedback that you got into the marketing team, for the strategy team, for the product development team. And this is so like holistic approach. I was wondering, when you were detailing out all this in a comprehensive manner, did you ever go back as a feedback loop to the end user again, post these iterations, post implementing their suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And we've been doing that for the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, but 4 years we've been having these user groups where it's a continuation, and we've kept the same teams. We've got additional members, but at least the original members in the most part are still there. So we have been able to track not only all the feedback that has been shared, but also share back to the community a lot of those that were transitioned into a capability or usability. And I go back to that, statement that that's how you gain trust with the
Yes.
user, because a lot of times you're getting feedback, but you're not really transitioning that into a capability or a functionality. So I'm very proud. Again, over 15 to 20 of the last releases or capabilities in the over the last 2 years have been fully based on the end user experience and how do we make their lives easier. And we've been able to, again, decrease the noise, but also simplify, right, the day-to-day activities of a lot of these magnificent people that run a lot of our clinical research activities or a lot of the healthcare activities. And to be a part of that is something very important to me, and making sure that we're leading with impact and making changes that are received with good eyes from the end users.
I'm so glad that you're doing the feedback loop, because it's so critical and you understand that. And I'm so glad you're doing that. Let's move on to the next question. That brings me to asking you, as a global medical affairs leader, how does your approach to establishing strategic partnerships differ from other roles? Could you share some of the insights, some of the internal challenges you faced? Because I think many of our leaders now, our thought leaders, our medical affairs leaders, they are or will be facing these transitions. It will really help our community to understand what you're going through and what to expect.
Yeah. Well, I think as society, as our society is getting smarter, is getting access to more information on a daily basis, we have to change our strategies and our approach. And sometimes I get asked this question: can you tell me, your strategy? It's not a single strategy. That strategy is evolving, is growing, and yes, you have to have the planning and you have to have the research in place, and you have to know what are the areas that you want to go after. But because that stakeholder is evolving, maybe 5, 10 years, it was solely the ACP, but now we're seeing administrators, CEOs, research coordinators, regulatory people that seem to be supporting that ecosystem of the ACP. Then you really have to make sure that you are adopting, and no site really is as kind of like they're all unique. They all have their needs and their wants. So what I'm trying to say is that the strategy continues to evolve, and what we do is that we take it on a case by case basis. We want to make sure that we understand what are the needs, and we want to make sure that we build or we customize a strategy that is going to support the needs of that particular institution or network or whatnot. However, in my perspective, the alliance with a lot of these organizations, and go back to SCRS, also the AACI, the Association for American Cancer Institute, have been key in order for us to make the right progress, because they own a lot of the members under their organization. And by you being able to be present in their events, may that be by a panel discussion, may that be by a webinar, may that be by just having a presence, and then it gives you not only, again, recognition within their network, but then you really start building true relationships. And I think that's what I've done very well, I believe, throughout the last 6, 7 years. We've created a network across the globe in order to really understand the key stakeholders, again, the KOLs, the thoughtful leaders, and then have a seat at the table with them in order to have meaningful conversations, so that we truly continue to raise the bar and make sure that we are tackling some of their biggest challenges. If you ask me now, coming to that second part of your questions, in terms of share some true insights, I think we've been able to, again, put together a team, a global team, very strategic, in order to support each one of these regions. Today we have these medical affairs leads that are embedded in different regions of the world, either all the way from India to Germany to Canada to the US, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And by having these assets located in their particular region, I forgot Japan as well. We just hired one in Japan. So by having these leaders in the region, we are able to not only understand the cultural aspects of it, but again, the regulatory and the ethical, compliance or information that is needed in order to make the right progress. So again, building that global medical affairs team for me has been very important in order to get the necessary support, but more important, in order to get to those KOLs faster, and then at the same time bring that information or those issues or concern, and then how do we resolve those in an expedited manner. Second, ensuring that we have a strong mix even within our team, as I was mentioning before, that we're not all MDs, because if we're all MDs, that we're all going to think in the same way, and all of those that aren't, we're physicians, and we're more of tell me what to do and I'll do it, versus having the thinking outside of the box kind of mentality. So that's why I've surrounded myself with MDs, DOs, PhDs, nurses, and also engineers and project manager, because they all bring their different perspectives. So by building a strong mix of personas, we've added value, I believe, and a lot of benefit in order to, when we're building the strategy, we can see it from different perspective or different angles. And then lastly, adopting a multi-pronged approach for the ACP engagement, engagement and help customize that support, building strategic partnership with large association, like I mentioned, that serve the HCP communities. And then how do you disseminate this insight not only to the community, but also internally within our internal functional teams to make sure that everyone is understanding, the tasks at hand, and then how do we solve that to make sure that we are being impactful with our tools, with our technology as we implement those in the community.
Yeah, I love the fact you mentioned about trusted partnerships and then the steps you're taking and how much time you spend in building that, because that kind of resonates with me, because trusted partnerships is the foundation of these long-term associations. And like you said, you have a mix of perspectives from PM, from HCPs, from PhDs, from the other one, I think you said nurses, practitioners. So the perspective and the mix of value that you've created for the team, for your important stakeholders, is very critical. Love that. So that brings me and kind of pivots me to the next question. As a medical affairs leader in a tech company, how has technology and clinical trials seamlessly intertwined in your work? Are there any challenges you're currently facing while intertwining it, or you foresee that it might be? Because as I said, I can really see this. Many of our colleagues will be or are already transitioning into a role like this. It's a futuristic role, and you are one of the pioneers. So we want to really take this advantage of understanding how are you seamlessly kind of integrating clinical trial and in a tech company.
Great question again. And I just, when I look back as a physician and as a researcher, and now talking about technology, we cannot avoid the technology is almost omnipresent in everything that we do. And either you like it or not, it's here to stay and it's going to continue to evolve. So again, I was very lucky. 7 years, when I started, that I was this was just picking up, and it was just have been groomed or gain all this knowledge within a software technology company has been an advantage for me, because I've seen the evolution of all of these, this focus on intelligent tools. And this is what I do on a daily basis. So I'm seeing all the evolution. I'm seeing these smart technologies. I really understand where they sit. And I also know some of the challenges that they have. We know that they're not, perfect, and the importance of always having the human in the loop in order to make sure. So I see this as an opportunity for the medical affairs community to be part of the development of those technologies that are being built, because by having all of those years of experience within science or within the field on the clinical side or the research side, now you're able to combine all that information or all that knowledge with the engineers and with the product team. So I believe that that's the true opportunity that we have in our hands now, that we are able to be a part. Before, a lot of these technologies were built kind of in-house, based on ideas and whatnot, but now there's an opportunity, there's a space out there for us to be part in the development of these technologies. And based on our experiences, based on our network, based on the challenges that we have lived ourselves on the clinical setting or the research setting, now we can bring that into the product or the development of these products. And I'm seeing it across the field. I see more and more
Me too.
physicians that are being entrepreneurs and physicians that are building a lot of these technologies. So I encourage the medical affairs community to look into this area of medtech and see how you can be part of doing something amazing for the community. It may not be a cure, but it may be something that may enable for cures to come faster into market, or for us to tackle challenges together that are going to, again, improve quality, decrease the time that we used to have to doing a lot of these activities, And more important, how can we make this cost effective as well?
Yeah, beautifully put. So my last question to you, Lester, in the near future, what new or innovative products and platforms do you believe will further enhance the value proposition in the healthcare technology space?
Yeah. So many things that come to mind, right? Like I said, technology is just evolving
Mhm.
on a daily basis. I get into these meetings and I just see all the great work that is being done, not only through technology with pharma and what we're doing, but also how are we adding artificial intelligence, Gen AI, machine learning, natural processes, languages, and all of these, modalities that we have. So I really see that there's going to be, again, an opportunity for us to eliminate a lot of the waste, make these technologies be part or our assistants so that we can be more productive with our day-to-day activities. And a lot of the steps where there's a lot of used to be a lot of manual redundancy. I did a survey for Pharma XA, and and I finished it on Monday, and then on Thursday I got another survey from Pharma B, and they're asking me the same questions or almost the same questions. So if there's a way for the system to capture this responses, and then the second day's time around, they asked me, hey, do you want to use the same questions that you use as the same question, or do you want to use a different answer? And even for the same sponsor, they asked me the questions on Monday, and then on Friday, I get the second survey from the same company with the same questions. So I believe that that's the opportunity that we have here, again, to eliminate a lot of the redundancy, which a lot of the time creates burnout. And a lot of these, investigators, principal investigators or research investigators, or even the ACP when they're doing some kind of work on the clinical setting, allow them for them to, again, focus on what matters most, which is taking care of their patients, and then not feel like you're doing a lot of administrative work, and have the technology or the smart technology take care of a lot of those areas. So I think from my end, again, medical affair has become a critical component of how do we rationalize a lot of these tools that are out there, and we make sure that what we are putting in the market is really being impactful and meaningful, and not just being something that is out there because it's just the latest shiny tool. And then second, I want to talk about we have to move forward in building a culture of connectivity. It's very important because what I'm seeing is because there's so much innovation, but now the all that innovation is being placed on top of a lot of these institutions, on top of the patient care, administrative work, and all the things that we know that goes on. Now you have all this plethora of technology that is being allocated at a lot of institutions. So my vision here is that we have to make sure that we have technology that is able to plug and play, because you're not going to find any technology that really has all the solutions that you're looking for. So then you start looking into, how do we have system communicate or talk to each other in order for us to start pulling or pushing data from a resource of truth that has that information into another system. And I think that's where we probably need to focus our attention. We have a lot of systems out there, but we're very quickly finding out that they have no open APIs, or they don't have generic APIs. They're not able to connect with other systems. So you're really making an investment in a system that is only going to be working in a silo. It's not going to allow you to build that ecosystem that you truly need across the current environment. So my point here, again, let's make sure that we're building a culture of connectivity. Let's build robust integration that partner with different ecosystem, and let make sure that we are also incorporating different vendors that have great tools, so that we're building, again, all the way to the life cycle of a patient. I believe that that's going to be the use, where we're going to have all these systems connect to each other eventually, and make sure that we're expediting the sharing of data and information across the ecosystem. And then I'll probably say again, we're moving also into the live, into creating these dashboard that can have multiple sources of information plug into them, and then allow for live and meaningful data to be presented to the ACP, so that he or she can make decisions in real time and faster. So again, culture of connectivity and moving into sharing across data, across systems, and then having these live dashboards that I believe are going to be coming, is going to be the new thing, is going to be coming really quickly, so that we can help and support the decision making capacity.
Yeah, beautifully put. I think that to make this system work, the ecosystem work with um, people adopting it, the stakeholders buying into to the strategies and to the product that's put in, like you said, plugging in, plugging out, the tool
Mhm.
sets to have that, you will need that cultural connectivity and that mindset shift. That's the big piece. So I'm so glad that you touched upon all of this. And with that, we come to the end of our episode. And thank you, Lester, for sharing your career journey, for also sharing your forward-thinking perspective on technology, on the the how this will really bring in the truest meaning of bringing in innovation in healthcare in the future. And to my listeners, I will say that thank you for tuning in to our podcast, The Medical Affairs Dialogues. Please subscribe to this channel if you like our work. Until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.
Thank you.